Pride and Prejudice, Chapter 2, second video. We are not in a way to know what Mr. Bingley likes, said her mother resentfully, since we are not to visit. We are not to visit, it means we are not going to visit him, right? But you forget, Mama, said Elizabeth, that we shall meet him at the assemblies, and that Mrs. Long has promised to introduce him. So the family has already accepted that the father will not introduce himself to Mr. Bingley, and they are thinking about the other possibilities, right? I do not believe Mrs. Long will do any such thing. She has two nieces of her own. She is a selfish, hypocritical woman, and I have no opinion of her. No more have I, said Mr. Bennet, and I'm glad to find that you do not depend on her serving you. This is what I mean by witty, you know? So it seems all the time that Mr. Bennet is speaking in riddles, and he has fun doing that, you know? Because, you know, it's kind of a riddle. Take a look. No more have I. I have no opinion of her. Okay, no more have I. So, nice. And I'm glad to find out that you do not depend on her serving you. You don't depend on, you know, her help. And then, of course, there is a clue. If the lady here, Mrs. Bennet, was a little bit smarter, she would have, you know, pursued the matter. She would have asked, okay, why wouldn't I need her serving? And then she would have gotten the point. That is, you don't need her serving because I have already paid a visit. Mrs. Bennet deigned not to make any reply. Take a look. Deign is a nice word. I have here... oh, by the way, I said in the last video, trim. There will be a nice picture of a man trimming a bush to make it look like a kind of bird. Okay, but that's not the point. The point is deign here. Deign is to do something that one considers beneath one's dignity. For example, wouldn't deign to greet the servant who opened the door. You know, imagine this person that is completely arrogant. This person enters a house, there's a servant there opening the door, and the servant would say, "Good morning, madam," and you know, the person wouldn't deign to greet the servant. Mrs. Bennet deigned not to make any reply, so she wouldn't, you know, go as low as to reply, because of course she's hurt, right? But unable to contain herself, began scolding one of her daughters. That's very nice. So she is mad at her husband. She can't, you know, yell at her husband or do anything. So she finds a daughter that is around there and finds any reason that is possible to scold. When I scold a person, I tell a person off, all right? There will be a picture of a woman telling her son off. And take a look at the reason she found to start scolding one of her daughters. Don't keep coughing so, Kitty. For heaven's sake, have a little compassion on my nerves. You tear them to pieces. So, stop coughing. It's because you cough all the time that my nerves are like this. Kitty has no discretion in her coughs, said her father. She times them ill. Let's first understand what he means by that, and then another comment of something I've been saying in this video. She times them ill. Okay, ill here is being used in a more in an older meaning for ill, that is badly. When you time something, you can set the time, but you can time, for example, let's imagine I like to visit, I don't know, Maria, but I don't like her sister, right? And her sister has, I don't know, courses on Mondays and Tuesdays. So I will time my visits so that I will get the days when her sister is not there. So what Mr. Bingley, what Mr. Bennet is saying here is that Kitty, she has no discretion in her coughs. You know, she's very bad judging when she should cough. She's disrespectful timing her coughs. She times them ill. Ill here is badly, right? Again. So she times her coughs badly. Okay? And of course, again, Mr. Bennet is making fun of his wife. He is, by his comment, he is showing, at least to a smart person, right? And let's hope we are smart enough to understand that it's absurd what his wife is doing. His wife is reprimanding her daughter for coughing, and then he does that, but he exaggerates even more and makes it more explicit, you know, to kind of hint at that, so to see if the wife will get that what she's doing is absurd, right? Of course the wife doesn't. A little bit like let's imagine I'm mad. Let's see if I can get a situation. Let's imagine I'm mad, and then I bump into my books here, and then I say, oh, this darn books. And then you look at me and say, yes, those books, you know, they're the most horrible thing because, you know, they ruin lives. See what you did? You got my irrational reaction, you know, that I was swearing at the books, and you took it to the next level to show how ridiculous I am. This is what Mr. Bennet is doing here. Okay? So Kitty has no discretion in her coughs, said her father. She times them ill. I do not cough for my own amusement, replied Kitty fretfully. Let me just give you some examples with ill. Because I think it's quite different in this context, right? Of course, ill can be sick as well, but that's not the point here. In a bad, inadequate, or improper way. For example, my words were ill chosen. I wanted to say something, but I didn't choose the words very well, so my words were ill chosen. It will benefits a man to betray old friends. So it benefits badly. The result is bad if a man betrays his old friends. Okay. So what is fret? Just fret. Fret is to be constantly and visibly worried or anxious. So fretful is like nervous, not able to relax. Okay? Imagine a horse. You know, horses don't have hands and feet like humans. And horses don't have paws. P-A-W. Horses don't have paws like, I don't know, dogs and cats. Horses have hooves. Okay? So imagine a horse that is restless, you know. The horse, I don't know, is excited to run or whatever, and then we have a sentence like this: a constant fretful stamping of hooves. When you stamp, you know, you kind of, how can I say, you step, you know, heavily on the ground, right? So a constant fretful stamping of hooves, right? So a restless child, we could also say that the child is fretful, even though fretful is a little bit more formal. In Quizlet there will be a picture of a baby. Poor baby, he is fretful, he is restless, and a little bit anxious, you know. So that's the idea of fretful. You know, now that we know that Kitty replied defending herself, right? And she was fretful. So she didn't get it either. You know, the mother didn't get it, and she didn't get it either. You know, she's kind of worried. And then a question I would like you to answer. Isn't this guy, even though he's very witty, yes, he's smart, kind of cruel to his family? Okay, to his wife, you can understand, but the poor girl, you know, she's all anxious, and he is reprimanding her, even though for him it's a joke, but not for the girl. The girl doesn't get it, right? Okay, so she goes, "I do not cough for my own amusement," replied Kitty fretfully. "When is your next ball to be, Lizzy?" "Tomorrow fortnight." That's important. Fortnight, we are talking about 14 nights. Okay, so tomorrow fortnight, it will be 14 nights from tomorrow. "Aye, so it is," cried her mother, "and Mrs. Long does not come back until the day before. So it will be impossible for her to introduce him, for she will not know him herself." Of course, there won't be enough time for all the arrangements, right? "Then, my dear," another riddle. "Then, my dear, you may have the advantage of your friend and introduce Mr. Bingley to her." Here, of course, she should ask, how is it possible that I'm going to introduce Mr. Bingley to her if I don't know Mr. Bingley and if I don't have the permission to go there, right? It's socially awkward if I go there. And of course the husband is saying, you already have the permission to go there because I have already visited Mr. Bingley. But take a look at the reaction. "Impossible, Mr. Bennet, impossible, when I'm not acquainted with him myself. How can you be so teasing?" And of course, in this case, she's completely right. He's always teasing her. He's teasing her all the time. I didn't put in our list there, but remember, you have a lot of friends, probably, but you have many more acquaintances. What is an acquaintance? An acquaintance is a person you know, okay? For example, here at CCA, many teachers are my acquaintances. I just have one teacher that is not just my acquaintance, who is Laura, one of my best friends, right? She is my friend. The other teachers are my acquaintances. Even though, of course, I love all of the other teachers. I know some of the students from the TC course are my workmates as well, so I'm not saying that I don't like you guys. I'm just saying that, for example, I've never gone to your houses, you've never visited my house, and I have visited Laura many times, and Laura is a close friend, right? So it's not a bad thing to be an acquaintance, okay? That's not the point. The point is, it takes more time and contact to be friends with a person. "Impossible, Mr. Bennet. Impossible, when I'm not acquainted with him myself. How can you be so teasing? I honor your circumspection." Circumspection here is prudency. "I honor your circumspection. A fortnight's acquaintance is certainly very little. One cannot know what a man really is by the end of a fortnight. But if we do venture, if we do not venture, somebody else will. And after all, Mrs. Long and her nieces must stand their chance, and therefore, as she will think it an act of kindness, if you decline the office, I will take it on myself." This paragraph, I know it's quite complex, so here's my challenge for you. What is he talking about specifically? Don't get the generals. Never get the generals when you're reading a good book. Okay, so why is he saying that his wife is prudent? What is this thing about a fortnight's acquaintance? So acquaintance that has been, an acquaintance for 14 days. What about this competition thing? And he will take the office. Oh, I need to give you one piece of information. Office here is a task, okay, a duty. So what is the duty he will take if his wife doesn't? Try to answer those questions to me before you watch the next video.